Johnny Bench has tied it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep.
In the dirt, it's a wild pitch. Here comes Fowler. The Reds win the pennant.
Larkins won the game.
That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none.
Welcome, Joe Randa to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again.
Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Chatterbox is a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded, the outfield deep and around toward right, and the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on, long drive, right field, and this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive, hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club.
Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my, that is a triple.
Matt McLain's first big league bomb.
Spencer Steers' first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again.
The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive. Left center field. Racing back to the Laurent Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did. He did. Reds win. Win. Line to right field. Genius, the first Red ever. With 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line. Doesn't have a chance. The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramón Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win. What a dream beginning to a career of Jay Bruce.
Well, on a day that celebrates miracles, perhaps the biggest miracle, some would say of them all, is that this piss-poor offense found a way to score 24 runs in one single game. And I'm a man of my word. I said that I would take a fireball shot every single time the Reds win a series, and here I am. I decided I'd just get a bottle. Largely because I figured that this bottle could possibly last me the rest of the year. But after today, perhaps things will change. I don't know. We shall find out, Nick. Reds win. Hold on to your chair. Make sure that you get yourself ready for this one. If you're listening to it in podcast form and you're living under a rock, or maybe a tomb on a day like today. 24-2, Nick.
Well, Trace, your piss poor offense is 4th in Major League Baseball in runs scored right now.
Here we go.
So you know what?
Big run differential guy.
Keep ripping on him. Keep ripping on him.
I will.
4th in Major League Baseball.
I will. What are they at WRC plus, Nick? That's your favorite stat. What are they in that? Second of all,
hasn't updated yet. Hasn't
updated yet. Yeah. Second of all, I can't wait for you to tell everybody that if the Cincinnati, I already looked this up. If the Cincinnati Reds played in the American League, folks, you ready? You ready for this one? You want to get fired up? They would be leading the league in run differential. We are currently in 3rd place in the entire league in run differential. So you know what? Hang the banners, and just for a night like tonight, I'll get it started the way that it's supposed to get started.
It is a true shame that the other teams in Major League Baseball aren't afforded the same opportunities as the Reds, where they can't score additional runs and pile on. The Reds get all these chances. We're the only team that can ever get runs that when the game's out of hand. These other teams, every run that's scored in their games is meaningful. Everyone counts. So when the Reds score, the Reds are the only team that gets these opportunities. No one else gets them.
You know what I would like to have, if we're going to get back onto a somewhat serious conversation here? I would actually take that stat a little more serious if it was similar to maybe like your handicap in golf, where you kind of you get rid of some of the outliers on the good side, you get some of the outliers on the bad side, and we kind of hone in on what we would call the meat and potatoes of it all and see where we stand after that situation. Take away your top 15 run differential games of the year, take away on both sides, the good and the bad, and then I want to know what the stat is after that. And, I might take that a little more serious. But we got some absurd supers coming in right off the rip. And why not? On a day where you score 24 runs. I can't believe that. I mean, I don't care who's pitching. Could be me pitching out there. 24 runs is still a crazy amount of runs. Michael Roth drops a absolute bomb of a super chat. $100. $99.99 if you're keeping track at home. I'll round up to 100. He says, hello again, Seabox Reds. I'm back. Like Eminem or Marte. 5 for 7 with 7 RBIs. Back like career revival. Austin wins. Austin wins never left. He just needed an opportunity. 6 for 7 with 6 RBIs. Previous career high hits in a game was 3, by the way, if you're keeping track at home. He's back like Austin Hayes. Going 4 for 6 without batting gloves. Yep, I can't wait to hear that for the rest of the year. The guy doesn't wear batting gloves. Why? Because his mom bought a few of them, and he ripped a couple of them, and he thought, you know what, I'm not going to make mom buy these batting gloves all year, so I'm going to wear them barehanded. Can't wait to hear that story. Anyways, 4 for 6 without batting gloves like it's 1956. Oh, and Elly flew today. Ned Flanders chimes in. He says, Nick, all I can say is I hope you bet the over. And he also said in the chat that I thought was even better than the super chat that I'm going to bring up just for you, Ned. Who are we holding accountable today? That's what I want to know. That was a fantastic line. That made me chuckle. RD711 said, and this one belongs to who? The Reds. Damn right, the Reds. I mean, you want to talk about BTA, as the kids say? BTA. This was the absolute max of MLB BTA. Max Bryant chimes in, says, do you see what can be done when Candelario is not in the lineup? Amazing. Eat the 45 mil and let him go. Let's pump the brakes. Let's pump the brakes. I know that I was killing that cat. I almost called him a kid. He's not a kid. He's old. I was killing that cat not that long ago, right here in this very seat. I actually wonder what Candelario's thinking right now. I do think that. Jeremy then chimes in and says, so Candy was out. Look what our offense does. Hey, I'm not. That's your guys' narrative, not mine. Optimistic John. Boy, I'll tell you what. When you get Optimistic John on the Super Chat train, you know you're living right. You know it. You know you've done something right. If you get Optimistic John on the optimistic side, you have made it. You have made it. In fact, that might be the most impressive thing that happened this Sunday. Forget the 24 runs. It was the fact that we got Optimistic John to super an optimistic thought. Yes, Jeremy noted Candy out 24. What an amazing pitching performance from my guy Suter. 2007, 2008 Ohio Heat. Great for the city. All relievers, amazing. Yeah, hey, we got great run support for our man. You know what's funny? Lost in all of this is probably Brent Suter did do an admirable job.
He's on the back half. He's on the back half. I wanted to make sure we mentioned him and the decision that Tito Francona made that I really liked.
Okay, wow, man, big time. That's what you call teasers, I think, in the big time business. That's what big J's do.
So.
That's what big J's do. We're not really big J's, but I think that's what the professionals do. They call that teasers. We'll get to that on the back half right after this break. No, we don't have breaks. All right, let's do this. You told Craig that you need to keep the box score recaps brief.
I didn't even try. I'm just going to read off a
news
couple
for
cool
you.
Stats.
Yeah, could you just do us all a favor and just give us a couple nuggets? The score was 24-2, folks. Everybody and their mother got a hit today, and well, besides Candelaria, but who's counting? Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I'm just going to read off a couple cool things. This is from Mark Sheldon. Obviously, Austin Wynn 6 for 7, Noelvi Marte 5 for 7, Austin Hayes 4 for 6, Gavin Lux 4 for 6, and then Brett Suter the 3 innings with no earned runs. You know, it's a good day when Elly De La Cruz hits a home run, steals a base, and walks and doesn't make it in the top 5 on the box score recap. But nonetheless, Cincinnati scored 24 runs for the 4th time since 1901, the last time in Colorado on May 19th, 1999. I think the last time before that was like in 1911, maybe? I don't know. It was a long time. Again, I feel like Colorado's a little bit different. Like you score 24 in Colorado, it gets kind of an asterisk almost. Reds 25 hits, their most since that game versus the Rockies when they collected 28. 15 hits with runners in scoring position were the most by the Reds since that became a stat in 1975. New single-game modern franchise record was set as the club reached base 38 times, including 11 walks. Reds reached 78 times in the series, their most for a 3-game set since 1900. Yeah, that's that's about all I got. And Trace, it actually was the longest of the day, but for you, my friend.
Nice. I love this. I'll tell you what, folks, for those that just tuning in or you might not know, there was a spring training game where our Cincinnati Reds were playing the world-renowned Los Angeles Dodgers. And I got to tell you, Austin Wynn had a couple hard-hit balls. And I was thinking to myself, you know what? This guy looks better than what people act like. I get that he's a journeyman. I understand it all. But he looks okay. Then I sent a text to our friend Nick Kirby. I said, are we sure Austin Wynn isn't good? Like, are we sure? And sure enough, there comes Nick. He had all the stats at my disposal. He said, look at this guy back in 2014. Look at this guy back in 2019. I said, Nick, it's 2025, man. Why are we living in the past? But he said, this guy can't hit. He can't field. The best thing he might be able to do is get water for Elly.
I didn't say he couldn't field.
All right, I might be embellishing. But nonetheless, I said, are we sure he's not good? Next inning, he throws a guy out at second base, and I said, are you really sure, Nick? And, of course, I got the laughing emoji. Now, behind, let me tell you a very, very good life lesson here, folks. Behind every joke is a little bit of the truth. You know, when your wife or your significant other kind of says something backhanded a little bit with a joke, and they're like, oh, I'm just joking. They're not totally joking. There's a little bit of truth in there. And that's how I feel about Austin Wynn. I don't know if he's as good as he looks, but I do know this. He was the deep drive of the day. Austin Wynn hits a 3-run home run, 107 off the bat, 403 feet. And my favorite thing that we've ever done on this bit, the win probability was 100%. And as we all know, it would wind up being 100%. That is fantastic. That would give the Reds a lead of 24-2. And as we all know, DSC is a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. Well, where do we start on a day like today? I don't know. I really don't know. We have super chats galore. We got to do a little bit of a show here for obviously the podcast. So we'll do that At the midway break, I'm going to get back into the supers. We're going to have some fun with that. But we're going to try to put together some semblance of thought around a really crazy day. Nick, it didn't start off this way. You got to a certain position in this game, and you felt like there were instances in this game that felt big at the time because you obviously didn't know what was going to come later. But on the front half of it, Hayes continues to produce, and I thought to myself, man, it is kind of crazy how one guy in a lineup has kind of changed the narrative of what this thing looks like a little bit, especially when he produces at the level he is now. I don't know I do know this. It's not going to continue at this same level, but it seemed like that was a part of the first thought that I had today of how his impact has significantly changed the outset of this offense. I will openly say from there, it felt like we were going to have to get some production out of somebody, and it just so happened it came from everybody. And I don't know where to start on a day where you score 24 runs, but I guess I'll start by saying Hayes continues to do what basically he's started to do since he came up. And by come up, I mean come up from injury. Your thoughts on him before we jump to some other highlights?
Yeah, Hayes has been just huge in the middle of the lineup, and hitting behind Elly De La Cruz, he hits left-handed pitching really well. So I think over the course of the season, he can actually be some protection. I think that word protection, protecting hitters, really gets overvalued a lot, but I actually think there could be some value with Hayes. And I agree. I mean, the lineup it looks much deeper with Austin Hayes in there. There's no question about it. He's not going to be this good all year. That's for sure. But he looks like the Austin Hayes that was an all-star in 2023. I mean, he looks the part. I mean, and he was on a mission all offseason. Every time he could get in front of a camera, he said, I'm here to prove that last season was a fluke and I'm the 2023 guy. And you saw on Friday night how beloved this guy was in Baltimore. You don't usually love guys that stink. So they clearly had some admiration for him. Yep. So, yeah, he's a big deal. And Trace, I know we have a lot of fun with the run differential, and it's a fun little bit. This does feel a lot different, though, than when the Reds scored 14 against Texas and they scored 11 against Milwaukee, because there was all these other games before and after that. I mean, let's just run through the games recently. Reds have scored 6 runs, 5 runs, 5 runs, 4 runs, 8 runs, 3 runs, 7 runs, 8 runs, 5 runs, 24 runs. So, I mean, the offense has been very consistent for a week and a half now. I mean, having the worst performance was 3 runs against the Seattle Mariners and Bryce Miller, a really good pitcher. So the offense has been very consistent for a week and a half. That's the biggest takeaway right now. Not that they scored 24 runs today, but that they continue to play solid baseball every day. They face a washed-up pitcher in Charlie Morton, and they make him look like a washed-up pitcher. That's what we want.
Yeah. How many times have we seen many fans make a jab or a tweet about a guy coming in with an 81 ERA, making his major league debut or whatever other. They're denouncing the quality of the starting pitcher, but somehow they went 5 2/3 or they went 6 1/3 innings against the Reds and gave up 1 run, and people are like, wow, we make everybody look like an all-star. Well, let's not forget on days like today, because the thing that I also want to bring up, and again, I don't know how much credit I want to give to the Reds themselves yet on this. I need to see a little bit more before I kind of get it really, truly excited about this. But the Reds walked 11 times today, and they've had a consistent, maybe a week, of finding ways to get on base via walk. Now, again, you might say, hey, Trace, they've faced some relievers that couldn't find it, and it's really just a little bit of luck this week. But it has felt like we've had better bats. Lux is a guy that has done nothing but provide quality at bat after quality at bat, it seems like, on a nightly basis. And it's starting to kind of rear its head here or show some fruits of the labor. The other thing I will mention is, like, Tito has decided to give some of these lefties an opportunity, lefty on lefty. Maybe it's just because he's like, you know what, it's early. I'm going to start fresh with all these guys. I know I was given the narrative. I know I was told that these guys can't do these certain things. And I know maybe the stats say that and the analytics department's telling me that, but I'm going to give these guys a fair shot. And the one thing I will give Tito credit for, possibly by doing this, Nick, is that he might actually earn trust. How much that's worth, I'm not here to argue. Respect, he should probably already have it, but let's just say sometimes you kind of hear about somebody's success, but you don't really feel it yourself. So you kind of need to still earn that respect if you're Tito. It kind of feels like he's giving these guys a legitimate chance to do something that other guys would have never given them a chance to do. Jake Fraley hitting a big spot lefty on lefty a couple nights ago. He drew a walk, Nick, and it was a very good at bat. Lux, lefty on lefty, drew a walk. Again, I'm not saying these guys are blistering the ball, might bite us in the behind as we move forward throughout this season, but I do think it's building some confidence that Tito's decided, you know what, like I know that someone told me this about you, but I'm going to give you a chance. And I think that if nothing else, even if it's only 10, 12 at-bats lefty on lefty that Jake Fraley gets, I almost think that Jake Fraley will have a ton of respect for that. So if there ever comes a time, Nick, where you have to make a hard decision with Jake Fraley or Lux or someone out and you have to pinch hit them in a really tight game, I don't think there's going to be animosity there because it feels like he's already given them at least a little bit of a leash in there, and you already feel like you kind of like this person. I could be wrong on that. Maybe I'm overselling all that, but it's just something to keep an eye on. And the walks, to be very clear, that is something I can get behind because this team can create some havoc if they just pass the baton to the next guy. Today, the ultimate pass the baton game. But again, this offense is going to be built more or less on passing it to the next guy, passing it to the next guy. We're not going to have 2 or 3 hitters that are just going to carry this team to the playoffs. It's not going to happen. So today, nothing could go wrong. And I'm hopeful that they can continue it. And by the way, I'm knocking on some semblance of wood here for the statement that you had made that they are back all the way. Not saying you said that, but you were inferring it.
I just thought they played a week and a half of good, consistent offensive baseball. But they're now 7th in baseball in walks, which is incredible because they were like dead last or second to last. They were like so far away from the pack early in the year. So they've had a lot better at bats. Gavin Lux, I mean, this guy's numbers have just like skyrocketed. I mean, everyone's has, but he's hitting .319 with an .818 OPS, and he's yet to hit a homer. I mean, you have an 800 OPS and you haven't hit a homer. I mean, that kind of shows how good you've been. So yeah, I think Gavin Lux. I was a Gavin Lux believer when they traded for him. I think Gavin Lux has the potential to be close to as good as a lot of the free agents that a lot of Reds fans wanted to sign. And he was an elite player in the second half last year. So far this year, he's put up good numbers. We'll see what he looks like over the course of 162. But I'm very excited about Gavin Lux. Noelvi Marte, I'm not like gonna, go overboard on him. But just for Noelvi Marte to see a .316 batting average next to his name, that's got to feel good. And I think we both have been on the side of, with Noelvi Marte, it feels like it's 90% confidence with him is his biggest issue. So just having that going for you, I'm interested to see if that could, I'm very cautiously saying this, if that could springboard him a little bit.
Well, I definitely think that at any time in everybody's life, when you're a young, we'll call it professional, in whatever sense or direction, career path that you've taken, there's always a moment where you feel like you've kind of earned the right to believe in yourself because you've seen yourself do it once, right? And I guess Noelvi had that to a small extent when he first came up and he had the hitting streak going into that offseason. But I think, Nick, that all got stripped away, I'll say rightfully so, largely because he had PED situation pop up, and then all of a sudden he just kind of was absolutely atrocious after that. And I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but I think openly we can all admit that when you're young as these guys are, you're fragile emotionally. Like you very are insecure more times than not. You're trying to fit in. You're trying to make sure that you're doing the right thing in the workplace. You don't have you don't just have confidence that you're that guy. And And I'm hopeful that Marte gets to that point. I don't think he's there yet, but I agree with you. As stupid as it sounds, now that when he for whatever reason, and I know people do this, when he wakes up in the morning and he checks his stats or he looks up the leaders in the league and what they're doing, his name and his statistics are going to look similar to those guys. Now, whether or not that gets him over the hump, I don't know, but I do think it's important. It's not nothing. I know that for a fact. What you do with Marte now is a great question. What you do with Austin Wynns now is a great question. What do you do with Candelario? He's obviously going to get pushed back into this mix, but it does seem like now guys are starting to play at a level that makes it very hard for them to get pulled out and not given opportunities to. Marte has earned that, and I think the biggest story of the entire, basically, we call it series with the Orioles, and if it's on the back half, that's fine, Nick. I ain't worried about it. We'll skip past it later, is Jake Fraley. And I mean that wholeheartedly. I get that Austin Wynns had 6 hits today. I know Fraley had, 1 hit today, I think. I don't care. What I did see Jake Fraley do is he's put together quality at bat after quality at bat, and he's hit some balls exceptionally hard. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny when I say this. The ball that he hit, what was Friday, I think? At this point, I'm losing my days. Friday night or Saturday, again, bear with me. The ball that he hit off the car in total distance at one point was probably farther than he hit a ball in a 3-week span during the stretch that he was on. I mean, he had no power, no pop, no exit velocity. He looked like he had lost all his confidence. He was semi-okay in right field, but he had a couple gaffes. And now I feel like Jake Fraley has at least, pun intended, resurrected himself to what I think that he was closer to when we were excited about him. I don't know if he's all the way back yet, okay? But I will say, if he can play this way, Nick, it changes the whole complexity or complexion of what this offense looks like. And I'm not saying he's the only X factor, but he is a major piece to this team turning a corner if he's going to start playing well.
Yeah, right now we're down to 2 holes. We had about 6 holes in the lineup a couple weeks ago. Right now it's Steer and Candelario, and they, honestly, they've only been playing about every other day. So I guess really down to 1 hole at the moment. We'll see how things shake out. I'll say this. I don't know if people will like it. Jake Fraley's turnaround is why Jeimer Candelario could still turn it around.
Yep.
So we'll see. This is a good week. Well, not the next 3 days, but Coors Field next weekend is the ultimate time to get right. So I would really like to see Candelario and Steer find a way to put all 3 of them in both of them in lineup, all 3 games out in Coors Field, and see if that can kind of help them get going.
There's a couple areas that this team still has to figure out. I'm not going to sit here and beat guys down. Clearly, Jake Fraley gives us hope that either Candelario or Steer figures it out. That's where we've got to kind of come to grips with this current hole, if you want to call it that. And another guy that got a nice I guess hit late in the game that maybe it meant nothing to anyone else. And I'm not saying I'm worried about Matt McLain at all, but it's like I'm kind of glad to see Matt McLain have a multi-hit game today as well. I get that we shouldn't worry about him, but at the end of it all, Matt McLain, Elly, and the fact of the matter is that either Candelario, Austin Hayes, or whoever you stick in right field is going to have to be better, and our DH. So Stevenson coming back at this point is probably the biggest storyline that we could talk on in the back half of the show of what do we do now, because I think Austin Wynns. I don't want to say anything's impossible, but it damn near seems like he's made it almost impossible for them when they decide to activate Stevenson to just tell Wynns that he's got to go to AAA. I don't know. I maybe he's in a situation where he has to get DFA'd. I don't know. But my point in saying this is, I don't think that there's a question anymore. And we can probably talk about that on the back half if you'd like to. You tell me where you want to go with that.
Well, I will just say on Wins, he actually has a weird contract. I was looking this up because someone asked me a week ago or something. The Reds paid Wins significantly more for a split contract than you would normally get for a minor league contract. So Wins, if the Reds want to send him down, Wins has the option to pass it up, but Wins is getting paid significantly more in the minor leagues than the minimum. So if you go take a shot with someone else, and yeah, you may get on a big league roster, but if you get sent back down, you're going to be making significantly less. So there was some strategic in that, and obviously that looks like a great deal. I will say this, maybe my worst take of the year was that Will Banfield should be on the opening day roster because he had 2 doubles today, but he has had a brutal time down at Louisville. So I'll eat crow on that one. That was a rough take.
Yeah, well, it's hard. When you do a show every day, Nick, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. There's times where you say things you probably don't always, find that are at the end of by midway or by the end of the season, you kind of laugh at what you said. That's just part of the deal doing this show. All right, as always, appreciate everybody in here. If you don't mind, please do me a favor. Hit the like button if you haven't already. We very much appreciate that. I appreciate all the super chats as well. I'm going to get to those in just a minute. But as always, if you are in need of tickets anytime, day and or night, you're looking to possibly go to a concert, looking to go to the ball yard, if you want to see the greatest offense that the history of baseball has ever seen, and you want to go down to Great American Ballpark, you can do that by going on the Game Time app and downloading it. And best thing about all of this is that if you use the code CBOX, CBOX, you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. It is the official ticketing partner of Chatterbox Reds. And I say we as in myself and Nick, have used this app multiple times. Anytime we're in the marketplace for needing to get tickets, even some road games from time to time, I've kind of dug around on the old Game Time app. 2 clicks, and you can have your tickets. Check the kind of the value proposition of each ticket and last-minute deals. As always, if you're looking to maybe even go down to the ballpark at the very last minute, no better place to turn to than the Game Time app. As always, use the code CBOX, that's CBOX. You can get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. And as always, perhaps even more importantly in Baltimore, but definitely not a night like the night for Reds fans, you can always text and or call 988 to get help anonymously, 24/7 hotline. It's okay to not be okay. And mantherapy.org is also a very good resource. Back half of the rundown. Before we get to that, I'm going to do the supers because we have a few to get to. Appreciate you guys supporting this show. Big Red Machine. You know me. I've always said I love the Big Red Machine. The argument to carry 3 catchers is over. Our backup catcher is putting up all-star numbers. All right, Big Red Machine, we're going to get to that in just a second. No doubt about it. It's on the rundown. It should be on the rundown, and I'm sure we'll talk about it. Obviously, Nick's man's on the rundown, the first thing on the back half. He didn't want to put it on the front half because he was too scared he'd get hate for that, but that's okay. Houston Burger, he says, Easter Bunny, Bugs Bunny, Bad Bunny, Reds in 5. There you go. What do you think about that? Houston Burger's back, by the way. Big fan of Houston Burger. Fergie Fowler, no idea who that is, says, I am never joking. Yeah. See, that's my point. That's my point. You got to kind of know when people are joking, but they're not really joking. Big Red Machine, I've always said I love the Big Red Machine. Back during the 2023 streak, I super chatted that Elly was going to be the Michael Jordan of baseball. After today, watching him fly, it's confirmed. Yeah, and in fact, there's no doubt in my mind that if Elly De La Cruz reaches stardom to have his own brand deal, they will more than likely use that play. That's my guess. And if they don't use that play, it seems relatively stupid to not do that. A realtor named House says, I saw you, Trace, in the MLB subreddit. Uh-oh. Here we go. Some haters in there, but if you have no haters, are you even trying? Hey, listen, I think someone had once said, if you ain't hating, if they ain't hating. It's if they ain't hating, you ain't popping. I think that was the phrase I had heard. So listen, I get it. These people see the Candelario clip. Some people like it. Some people hate it. Hey, it is what it is. Okay, it's part of the show. There's times where I just lose my mind. And I got news for you. If all the people on those subreddits, by the way, are like, this guy's never played a sport. Clearly, they haven't seen me be an athlete dunking basketballs, first and foremost. Second of all, they haven't looked up Urbana Knights baseball stats, and I can tell you right now, I've played before. Have I ever been as good as Candelario? No, but I do know this. If I knew that I couldn't field, I'd sure as hell make sure that I could possibly hit. And if I couldn't hit, I probably would make sure that if I got the ball thrown inside on me, I would be happy to get hit. That's my thing. I wouldn't be staring down the pitcher, hitting a $110, making $20 million because I think he's trying to hit me. I know that. Now, again, I even thought to myself, on a day like today, we need to stick Candelario in there. Let's get him in the mix, baby. If nothing else, I thought, this game could move on a little faster. Like, we need to get some outs here. What's the best option? Let's just stick Candelario in there. It's a win-win situation. He gets a hit, he's got confidence. If he doesn't get a hit, ho-hum, normal, every day as it goes, but the game gets over a little bit quicker because it seemed like nobody could get out. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not on, I don't know about the MLB subreddit. If I got haters on there, that's fine by me. All right.
I think we should live stream every Candelario at bat, honestly, for the rest of the season.
Listen, if we do that, the issue that I have is that if it doesn't get any better, I would always be looking out for myself because there's either someone of Candelario's family and or Candelario himself would probably want to try to have what we would call a brawl. And I'm not trying to get there. And I hope Candelario figures it out, by the way. He plays for my favorite baseball team. It's just that at some point, you got to kind of be better than what he's been, or you're just going to get the wrath of my frustration.
Did you see the pitch he swung at on Saturday? Little sidetracked. Me and Craig had a little bit of a disagreement on it yesterday. I didn't have an issue with him swinging first pitch in that spot. Did you know what I'm talking about?
Okay, I do. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I actually don't have a massive problem with it either, to be honest. Largely because Candelario, I think when he's going somewhat okay, he's like an ambush hitter. Like he does jump on first pitches all the time, and he hits balls relatively well. And I felt like there was a spot there where they were having trouble throwing strikes. And more times than not, a big leaguer is going to figure it out at some point and probably throw the ball over the plate. It felt like that was a spot, Nick, where it's like, hey, I'm going to get a fastball over the middle. The problem with Candelario is that he just can't hit right now. Like he can't put the barrel on the baseball. So even if he's getting good pitches, he's not hitting them well. So I don't know. I'm not trying to beat a man when he's down. So let's move on. Candelario, my kid's got an absolute crap ton of candy today. So that could be what gets us out of it, Maybe I just go and eat candy all day tomorrow. And that'll be the trick that gets him out of the hump. God knows Candy's been eating it. Anyways. All right.
Well, I mean, there's some sort of joke about, the Reds scoring 24 runs, leaving not using Candy on Easter. I probably could have.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Delivered that a little better, but
right. There's nothing worse as a parent than Halloween and Easter when it comes to what children get for that occasion.
So much.
I mean, it's just absurd amount of candy, and it's just like you tell them, "Oh no, you're not allowed to eat the candy." I don't know. Brutal. All right, final supers here. Final supers before we get in the back half. Sorry guys, we're rambling. Mama Mikers. No, that's not it. It's the name. I got to read the name, Nick. Mama Milkers. All right. Focus. Run differential got Nick feeling hot and bothered. All right, I'm done. We were professionals on this show. Let's get back to it. Elly De La Cruz. You have him on the rundown.
I didn't know what you want to talk about here with Elly. Obviously, he felt like he was going to be the star of the game. Turns out it was Austin Wins. But he felt like he was the star of the game. He made some great plays. Even the one that he didn't get the out on, it was an unbelievable play. Defensively, that is, of course. And then he, in the next, basically, bottom half of the inning, he hits top half of the inning, I guess, if you will, next half inning. He hits a home run, and it kind of cements the whole, like, hey, this guy's pretty damn good. Hopefully everyone remembers that. Is that kind of where you wanted to go with this?
Well, I mean, I feel like Elly probably deserves to be on the rundown. He's the number 3 story on MLB.com right now. I'm not making this up. Elly's Superman impression helped spark historic 24-run route. I mean, that is kind of disrespectful to Wins and Marte. But no, that was an incredible play. The thing that I really loved, the play that didn't actually result in an out, that play that he made, very first batter of the game, Cedric Mullins, was really just a clean play. I mean, Mullins running well down the line, but that's the kind of play you go, all right, yeah, that's what you're kind of expecting Elly to become. So yeah, I mean, he had a great day in the field. Obviously, hit a big home run. He had 2 home runs in this series. Both of them were big home runs. They were both early in the game too. And when the games ended up kind of going, sideways in the Reds' favor, but at the time they were both very big home runs.
Yeah, they were. And I think the point is about Elly when we come and when we just start to discuss the defense. As I've said before, I think that sometimes statistics and analytics can tell a little bit of a tainted picture of certain players in the way in which they play, in the way in which the numbers can't quite quantify. I'm not saying it's massive. I'm not saying the things that numbers can't find are unbelievably big. But I would also say that Elly, if nothing else, actually enhances the analytics that are joined by him. He's a better player in my mind than even what the numbers can spit out, because there are many of times where Elly forces issues that don't actually show up on a box score. Whether it's a rush throw from time to time, whether it's a guy that's trying to make sure that he's not going to steal a bag, so he's worried about him at first base. Next thing you know, he throws 3 balls in a row. He's down 3-0. He gives up a cookie down the middle. A guy drives the ball in the gap, or he walks the next guy because he's too worried about the guy on base. Those are all things that are 100% factual and do happen throughout a year while Elly's playing that he gets no credit for. None. Because you can't really put a number on that. It's impossible to. I don't expect them to. I'd also say from a defensive standpoint, it's really hard to quantify what exactly a guy is defensively, but the best thing that people have tried to come up with is outs above average, right? OAA as you see it. And I'm not here to defend OAA like it's the only stat that you need to look at defensively, and it's by far, if you're at the top of OAA, you're 100% a better defender than someone below you. But today was an extreme, perfect example of why people want to use outs above average as a stat. And I get that someone's going to tell me, well, the guy scored anyway, so what's it matter? That's a terrible argument. Let's not go down that path. That's where you get yourself in trouble. And if we were debating, I would shred you to pieces if I had the time, if that's the logic you're going to use when defending what I'm about to say. Elly De La Cruz makes a play over the middle with the catch that everybody's going to ooh and ah over, and it was with a situation with a guy on second base. Brent Suter obviously gives up a line drive up the middle. If Elly doesn't catch that ball, it hits off his glove, tips off his glove, goes into center field, there's a really good likelihood that that runner scores. I think all of us more than likely can agree with that. Now, that's a run saved. Quite literally a run saved. Now, that's not how the metric's going to be added up, but that is how it kind of gets to that point. My main point in saying this is that the people that would absolutely crucify Elly De La Cruz if he made an error in the 9th inning on a routine ground ball in a 1-run game and he allowed that run to score, they would quickly forget and not care about the diving play in the 3rd inning. And all I'm saying is they're both equal, whether you like that or not. The 3-pointer that a kid makes in the 2nd quarter of the game is worth just as much as the three-pointer that the kid makes with 1 minute left in the game. You might not like that. If you don't believe it, then we're just on two different wavelengths of how things are actually come out to be at the end of a game. So all I'm trying to say in all of this is you've got to start to kind of realize the plays that Elly is making look relatively easy from time to time that other defenders are not making in the league. And there's a lot of those guys that are not making these plays. So I'm not here to defend Elly and say he can make all the errors he wants. I'm just saying let's use outs above average as a real decent guideline about how Elly De La Cruz, whether he can play shortstop or not. I think it's a fair metric. It's numbers. It's straight analytics. It's not tailoring to Elly at all. It's just spitting out facts. And Elly has always been at the top of OAA at shortstop, and that's why we will always defend that he should stay there until proven otherwise. Sorry for the rant.
Yeah. Oh, appreciate it. Two other things here I just wanted to add. Completely gets lost in a game like today, but in the top of the first, Elly was facing Charlie Morton, got behind 1-2. Morton threw curveball, all balls. Elly laid off all three. Now, one of them almost hit him, but the last one was a really good take. That's good to see. Elly's chase rate is actually in the 72nd percentile right now. And it was 60th last year, 24th in 2023. So there's quite a big progression there. And if you want to get the most optimistic you can get about the Cincinnati Reds lineup, if you look at Matt McLain and Elly De La Cruz stats, they're not jaw-dropping right now. You go look at their StatCast page, they are jaw-dropping. Now, both are small samples. We'll see how things play out, but Matt McLain and Elly De La Cruz are hitting the ball hard. They're barreling up the ball. Matt McLain is 94th percentile in chase rate. So there's, while I think, like Noelve Marte and Austin Wynns and maybe even Gavin Lux to a degree, some of that might not be sustainable. There's still, I think, a lot of upside with McLain and Elly that we're still going to see hopefully come to fruition this year. With McLain, you have to unfortunately give the caveat he's got to stay healthy.
Yeah. Listen, I think that I was even thinking that myself because I was thinking McLain was starting to enter the territory of almost like Spencer Steer back in 2023, if you can remember, where he got off to a really, really quick start in the first week. And then it was kind of like pretty below average for a little bit of extended period of time. And you start to kind of be like, wow, I'm glad he got off to a great start, but I just don't know if we're kind of starting to slide here a little bit. Now, again, he kind of got that second hit today, and it kind of, even though it probably wasn't a big deal, it just felt better. And the good thing with McLain and Elly, what you mentioned is, the advanced metrics point to they're playing well, even if the standard metrics and again, batting average, OPS, the numbers that pop up on the scoreboard, we'll just call those scoreboard stats. When the scoreboard stats don't look good, Nick, you kind of worry for the player and also the fan base in a way, because the player, they pay attention to that, man. I hate to say that. There's not many players that don't know what their batting average is or what their on-base percentage is or what their slugging percentage is when they walk up to the plate. I mean, they have a clue. And if you don't think that affects guys, I 100% believe that's what's affecting Steer to a small extent, and I think it affects Candelario. I mean, it's a pretty heartless feeling to look at your numbers and see that you're hitting 110, and you're going to have to basically, at nothing else, go on an unbelievable tear to have respectable numbers. The good news is, though, Nick, is that with a guy with some experience with having some pretty bad numbers at the plate from time to time, there's at some point you kind of reach a boiling point where you just say, I guess I can't care about this anymore because it's done. It's over with. There's no way I could even fix this, so I might as well just go play. And maybe that'll happen for some other guys. But it's Elly is Elly. We'll leave it at that. The other day, I think you said it best, and I don't mean to go overboard here, and I think that some of the haters that Elly has, they have some semblance, some semblance of truth. There are some things that he does from time to time that are frustrating. But overall, if we're going to spend time on this show, of all the things to talk about on this baseball team, if the number one thing we want to talk about is Elly De La Cruz underperforming or not being this, not being that,
then we've missed the boat as a fan base. Like, we just don't get it. We don't get it. There's so many other things that this team has going on right now that they need to fix. Elly is not at that list. He's not even on the list, let alone being at the bottom. He's not even on the list. All right. Moving forward here, today, a unique game when you go into it, Nick. You've seen that you're facing Charlie Morton. You're excited about that. But then you've seen Brent Suter, if we're being completely honest, with no disrespect. He was being the opener, and you just kind of felt like on a day like today, Nick, you didn't have a whole lot going for you. You're hoping that Suter was going to throw the ball relatively well. And I think that maybe outside of Jake Fraley kind of feeling like he's back, Brent Suter being able to kind of do I would say even more than a serviceable job. Doing a great job was going to be the most undertalked thing of all sports talk shows tomorrow and tonight because the Reds won 24-2. But he did a great job, so we should give him credit.
I love using an opener to a game like this. Traditionally, you're backed up against the wall. You have to call up a guy like Randy Wynn. Who shout out to Randy Wynn getting the save up 22 runs. I mean that's gonna be a great story. That's gonna be a great story. Yeah, my only career big league save. We were up 22 runs, but I love using an opener like this. Because traditionally we just say, we have to throw Randy Wynn. We'll try to get 4 innings out of him. Well, Randy Wynn gets to pitch with the Reds leading, and obviously it's not going to be like this, but it could be a 6-run lead when Wynn comes in. You use your best pitchers when you know the game is going to matter, as opposed to saving them for later. So I feel like the Reds have had a lot of success with these bullpen games. Now, I don't think you can do it all the time because I think it would kill your pitching staff, but maybe, if you have to call back up Carson Spiers, who did go on the IL today, maybe you should use an opener with him. And maybe there's some other guys that you may have to call up at some point, maybe a Chase Petty. Maybe you use an opener with them because the Reds have just had a ton of success with this. I like that it makes the other manager have to kind of think about their lineup, especially when you use like Suter or lefty. It makes it just a little bit more of a challenge for them. So I hope that the Reds do this again when they have this type of situation, when they're kind of forced into it, because I think it's very effective.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I think I remember back when Derek Law was kind of going out and being an opener, and for some reason, in a weird way, it's almost like these guys have some success there more than they have when they come in the 6th and 7th inning. And I again, maybe we're overanalyzing this. There's not been enough sample data on this for us to make a guarantee that there's almost this weird dynamic that the relievers don't feel as much pressure because they're used to kind of coming into maybe tighter games. Maybe not in Suter's case, but ultimately, I don't know what to make of it totally outside the fact that it has worked for this team. And I don't know if that's a good, way to say that you can stamp your approval on it just by saying it's worked. But, Derek Law's had some success. And I think we even said back in the day, if you remember, not to kind of keep going down memory lane here, but Luke Weaver, we had said that with Luke Weaver a couple times. I'm not trying to we did. We were begging for the Reds to throw an opener for Luke Weaver. And it's it's almost like this weird hiccup for some of these guys that are starters getting MLB, kind of fringe MLB, quadruple A players. When they start a game, maybe it just doesn't go as well, and it kind of takes them a minute to kind of settle down. In a weird way, when the game starts and then you throw those guys in the 3rd inning, since the game's already kind of been going on for a minute, maybe it does calm some nerves. I don't know. We're not psychologists, and I don't plan to play one, but there might be something to that as well. So, all right, moving forward, Chase Burns, you have some updates there.
Yeah, news broke right before we went on.
Yep.
Shout out to Charlie Goldsmith, broke the news. Chase Burns getting promoted to AA after just 3 starts at Dayton. He only made 1 start at Day Air Ballpark. I try to tell you, you better get there if you want to see him. He only made 1 start. No, this is exciting though. I mean, I like that the Reds are being aggressive here with Burns. Excited to see him. What he's able to do at the AA level. I think there's a pretty big leap from high A to AA. Some of the best players, that are a little bit more established are at AA. So I'm excited about this. I will be interested to see how quickly he's able to adjust, if there is an adjustment period. But I don't know. The fact that it was only 3 starts, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but it gives me the belief that there is a real chance that you could see Chase Burns at some point this year.
I 100% believe that. I think I even said to you, Nick, like Chase Burns was the most MLB-ready prospect that the Reds could have possibly drafted when they drafted him. You know, you have the Bazanas of the world. You had Charlie Condon. I'm not suggesting that those guys won't be great big league players, and they might, but they're nowhere near ready to step into an MLB lineup. I might get crushed for saying this. I really do believe it. I think Chase Burns has Paul Skeens-esque stuff. I think that there's a chance where he has. I'm not going to suggest that he's going to be the Cy Young favorite. Okay, I'm not going to go that far. But I am going to say that I genuinely think that it's just a formality. He's ready to pitch in AAA right now. He's ready to maybe even be at least somewhat in the mix when you might need a spot start here or there, or you get down to the pennant race towards the end of the year, and you just want to have your best players available in your organization to try to help you win games. Chase Burns is that guy right now, in my opinion. It's just a formality of what he's doing. They wanted to put him in at maybe in Dayton to take some pressure off. They knew he was probably going to blow guys away, and he did. He had one inning where he kind of got roughed up a little bit. Outside of that, those kids had no chance. And when I say no chance, they had literally no chance against Chase Burns. He was throwing against guys already, in my opinion, that were basically AA type level talent in the SEC, and then he went to the ACC, obviously, after his freshman year. So Chase Burns has already shown that he can be successful against high-level talent, and that's why he was the second pick. I just say to everybody, as long as he stays healthy, I would be shocked if the Reds are in some semblance of a postseason chase. I would say the odds of seeing Chase Burns in a Reds uniform, if they're in a playoff chase, is 75%. And I think that some people might say, wow, that's crazy. I don't think it's crazy at all, Nick. I'm happy for Chase Burns, but it seems like a formality more than a promotion.
I think those odds might be too low. I think if they're in a race and he's healthy, I don't see why he wouldn't pitch. The biggest question for me is, say he goes to AA, makes 3 or 4 starts, is dominant.
Right. There's
a spot that opens up. Do they just say, all right, big boy, we'll just promote you all the way up to the big leagues? I think it's possible. I'm not going to say it's probable, but right. I think it is possible.
Yeah, I also want to remind everybody that Rhett Lauder struggled in AA last year way more than he did when he made his big league debut, and then obviously the aforementioned starts after. Like it is kind of wild, and I'll also say maybe there's something in Chattanooga that's difficult to play good baseball because Matt McLain also, if you look at his numbers when he was in Chattanooga, are significantly worse than what he's done at the big league level. So I'm not even going to maybe even go out on a limb and judge him on what he does in Chattanooga because it seems like that's almost like the Detroit of football for a stretch of time before, shout out to Campbell, before Campbell. I don't want any Lions fans in my mentions. But all I'm trying to say is that Chase Burns is a big league pitcher. At some point, if it's not now, it's going to be really, really soon. And the last thing I'll say with Burns is like there's only so many 100-mile-an-hour fastballs that you can throw before at some point you're going to have some semblance of issues. That might be 10 years. That might be 6 years. That might be 3 years. It could be tomorrow. I don't know when it is, Nick. But I'm just going to tell you, there is a clock there. We've seen that throughout the history of this game so far with all these guys throwing the ball really, really hard. For those that want to say, hey, let's pump the brakes, let this guy get acclimated, I say let's stop wasting our time on this guy throwing the ball 100 miles an hour every single time, and let's start using him while we have him, because the reality is I don't know how much better he's going to get. No offense, Nick, but the whole pitching coach stuff and this coach stuff, when you got guys that are that talented, it is what it is. You either got it or you don't. Ain't nobody walking in that door showing Chase Burns how to pitch the ball that much better. It's only going to come from his experience, and it's going to come from his hard work, and it's going to come from his ability to get big league experience. So
I'm with you. If it's 3 weeks from now and Chase Burns is in the big leagues, I wouldn't even be upset about it either. That's not going to happen, to be clear, but that's how high I am on him.
One thing I'll add about in Rhett Lauder's defense is that Chattanooga Lookout's defense last year was one of the most atrocious defenses I've ever seen, and he had a lot. He had a lot of earned runs that should not have been earned runs. I mean, it was atrocious. Thankfully for Chase Burns, he's going to go to a defense with Edwin Arroyo, Sal Stewart, Hector Rodriguez, Ethan O'Donnell, Jay Allen, some actually pretty good, talented, athletic players. So that'll be a fun team. I tell you what, that is going to be a fun watch when he's pitching with that lineup. For how bad that team was last year, that's going to be a lot of fun. And there was a really good point brought up in our chat about Carlton. Can't forget about Wade Miley. I think the Reds would probably want to see where Wade Miley is, and he would certainly be ahead of the pecking order for Burns, just with kind of the way they signed that contract. But I'm saying it's always possible that you get Wade Miley and these still end up needing them. But there was one thing I did want to mention today, kind of ties in with Burns and Miley and all this. And it's kind of piling on poor Charlie Morton. But Charlie Morton got $15 million this year. Justin Verlander got $15 million this year. That's why a pitcher like Chase Burns is valuable. That's why that Brady Singer trade, I think as this year goes on, is going to age very well. And that's why I still believe when we get to the end of the year, I'm going to go down with the ship on Nick Martinez and that being a good contract for the Reds.
Well, you're definitely going to go down with the ship on that if it doesn't work out. There's no doubt in my mind that the Reds, I'll say it once, I'll say it, this is the last time I'm going to say it, I don't think that was a part of their plan. They'll never say that, but I really genuinely don't think it was. They wanted a comp pick for it. They thought maybe in their mind that Martinez was not going to take it because he had a heck of a back end of last year, and he might want a multi-year deal. And ultimately, at the end of the day, he obviously took it, and the Reds had to pay him. So we'll see ultimately if it winds up hurting the Reds. The thing about those $20 million deals, it all gets washed away, too, if somebody outperforms the contract in a different spot, which isn't really fair to Nick Martinez, right? Like, if Nick Martinez winds up being what we call a reliable late inning reliever, semi-high leverage reliever, you might say to yourself, well, that was a little steep in price to pay for him. But you're not going to get mad about it if Jake Fraley plays really, really well. You're not going to get mad about it if Austin Hayes plays really, really well or TJ Friedel plays really, really well, and we're not sitting here complaining about having an outfield bat or a DH that can hit. If Candelario comes out of the woodworks here and he starts to play above average, and by above average, I mean just basically what we expect of him. I'm not talking about league average. I'm just saying, is he serviceable for this team? The narrative around Nick Martinez changes because for some reason, and I understand why, people won't associate the money that we paid Nick Martinez with stuff that we didn't do in the offseason that you might have liked us to do. So it's a weird dynamic that exists in fandom, but that's the truth right now, is that right now the outfield has been atrocious. We have spots in this lineup that are holes, and there are people that wanted bats in the offseason, rightfully so, and we didn't get any bats outside of Austin Hayes, who wasn't here for a stretch of time. And the one guy that people wanted to pick on was Nick Martinez because he had a couple of mediocre starts to begin the year. So I think that's just where we're at in fandom, Nick. I don't think people hate Nick Martinez. I just think it's an easy punching bag by the way that things panned out.
Yeah, I see a lot of comments about, the Reds look to trade a starting pitcher. And maybe they do get to that point, but I think it's still so early in the year. I mean, go ask the Baltimore Orioles how they feel about their pitching depth. I mean, they have 6 starting pitchers on the IL. Starting pitching depth is fleeting, and it can erode very, very quickly. So I think you need every single one of these starters right now. I hope that I'm dead wrong, and you get to the trade deadline and you have 8 quality starters in your system, and you could make a move. But I would not expect that to be the reality.
All right. Everybody in the chat's talking about extend this person, extend that person. I want to openly say that, I didn't understand for the life of me why they extended Trevino. And if we're being honest, that looks like a unbelievable deal right now. Now, again, do I expect him to play this well for the rest of the season? I don't. But I also wonder, Nick, to get into maybe the last topic before we jump into Reds MILB, is does that say anything about Tyler Stevenson and what they think of him? Is it say what he's going to do when he comes back, more or less? Like, is there a chance that if Trevino keeps playing the way he does, that he takes over catcher A and Stevenson then becomes kind of this hybrid guy that has the ability to catch on a day game every so often, but more times than not, he's going to find himself probably maybe DHing and or playing first base because Trevino obviously completely outclasses Stevenson when it comes to catching. And if Trevino keeps hitting the way he does, then he's outclassing almost everything when it comes to that position. So just food for thought before we jump into Reds and MILB. Anything that you want to add there? Is it safe to say the final topic that they're going to carry 3 catchers as we head into this decision that's upcoming with Tyler Stevenson rejoining the team?
Yeah, I do think they carry 3 catchers unless, and people are going to laugh at this, unless the first base position and the DH guys all of a sudden all start hitting. I mean, if you have Candelario and Steer and you have a lot of those guys, then maybe they do just have to say, hey, we can't, make anyone expendable. But I don't think I see that happening right now. I don't know about the Trevino extension, if that had anything to do with Stevenson. I did just look it up. The Trevino extension was 7 days after Stevenson was placed on the IL, so hopefully that extension didn't have anything to do with that. I don't think it did. I think it was more just Jose Trevino they felt was a value player. Whether you have Tyler Stevenson or don't have Tyler Stevenson, you still need a guy like Jose Trevino to kind of complement your catching position. And I think they just viewed it as a value opportunity. I think that's how the Reds view just about all the moves that they make. I don't think it's necessarily – I don't think the Reds are looking to extend guys based on trying to, hey, we want to have our depth chart for 2027 exactly figured out. I think they'll change that on the fly. It's more just, hey, this guy's a good value. We're going to try to capitalize on that now.
That's fair. All right. Reds MILB.
All right. That a lot of action today. We'll start off with AAA. Louisville, they beat Columbus 7-4. Bats have won 3 of 4, now 11-10 on the season. Tyler Callahan on base 3 times, has a 10-game hit streak, and has reached base in all 19 games he's played this season. Reese Hines 2 for 5 with a double and stole a base. Will Banfield had a pair of doubles today. Benson got the day off. Lenny Torres Jr. gave up his first runs of the season. He had been really good through his first 6 outings. Outing number 7 finally bit him, gave up 2 runs. And then River San Martin quietly having a nice year. He threw a perfect inning in relief. Down to AA, the Chattanooga Lookouts fell 3-0 to Knoxville. Lookouts now 6-8 on the season. Good day for Edwin Arroyo. He was 2 for 4 with a double. Actually had 2 of the Lookouts' 4 hits in the entire game. Sal Stewart 0 for 3. Hector Rodriguez 1 for 4. Ethan O'Donnell was on base 3 times, 1 for 2 with 2 walks. However, he fouled a pitch off his leg, and he was in some serious pain after he fouled it off. He did stay in the game. It was a 3-2 count. Took a ball and walked, but then they did pinch run for him. It was in the 9th inning. I'm not sure there's anything more to make out of that, but just passing that along. And then tough days for Jay Allen and Dominic Patelli, each 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Dayton, they fell 8-4 to Great Lakes. Dragons, they're really struggling, 5-10 on the season. Ricky Cabrera 0 for 5. Carlos Jorge 0 for 3. Did have a pair of walks. Good day, though, for Leo Balcazar, 2 for 4 with a double. And last but not least, the Daytona Tortugas, they fall 11-7 to Jupiter. Tortugas 8-7 on the season. But a great day from Alfredo Duno, 2 for 5 with a homer and a walk, his second homer of the year. Sammy Stafora, 1 for 4 with a triple and a walk. And then Ovis Portes, the return for Lucas Sims. Pretty good outing from him, 3 2/3, just 1 run, struck out 4. That's your Reds MILB.
That it is, and we've been valiantly trying to get to 200 likes, and for some reason, it doesn't tell me how many likes we have anymore on this setting. So there's that. I was gonna try to pump up the chat, tell them that we really appreciate them fighting for those likes. I don't even know where we're at because I guess YouTube decided to take that metric away from me, which is fine. That's fine. Let's see if it's up here. Actually, I think I found it.
198. I just liked it myself to get us to 199.
So if you don't mind, before we get off this stream, if you could hit the like button, get us to 200 likes, I think that'll make some people in the chat very, very happy. Shout out to everybody that always fights for those likes. We very much appreciate that. Thank you for everybody who supports this show. A long show tonight. Obviously, 24-2, maybe a lot to talk about. I think we got into some topics that were relevant, and I thought we got into some topics that, perhaps didn't have anything to do with tonight's, by tonight I mean today's game. But I think it does have some implications as we move forward into the season and what you're supposed to do or what you could do with certain areas. Stevenson seems like, in my opinion, one of the bigger question marks of what this team will do. 3 catchers seems to be the right way to go about it. You had mentioned Candelario and or Steer have to get it red hot. I think Candelario sticks, Nick, because of how much you're paying him. Like it or not, that's just the truth. And whether he can't hit himself out of this slump, I don't know how long it can go. They have cut guys in the past that they have paid for guaranteed money, Will Myers being one of those. I don't know if Candelario's in that same boat as a Will Myers, but I do think there has to be a line in the sand at some point if guys are overperforming. But I think Spencer Steer seems to be the very clear and obvious guy, in my opinion, at this point. I know he had a hit or two today, but who didn't? And I'm not trying to make that as a huge joke, but with all due respect, he just still doesn't look himself. It seems as if you could make a clear indication that he's injured. You can put him on the IL. He can go and get some rehab, assignment kind of situations, and we'll see what ultimately happens. I would be shocked if they don't carry 3 catchers, but I've been wrong before, so I'm not going to guarantee anything on that. The good news is we get to play more baseball. Terry Francona after the game had mentioned, hey, the last time we did something like this, we struggled offensively. We're ready to go. We're going to keep that in mind. I don't know how much that means, Nick, but it's nice to know that at least they had mentioned that this has happened before, and there has been a stretch of baseball where they didn't score runs after they scored 1 billion. Got a great opportunity, Nick. I'm not going to say it. You're not going to say it. I'm going to tell you you're not going to say it for you. We have some good opportunities ahead. That's the best way I can put it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you don't understand, maybe you haven't looked at the calendar, you've not looked at the schedule, those types of things, I could understand why you don't understand what I'm saying. But if you take a peek at that, you might understand what I'm saying. But I'm not going to go out here and just say that it's guaranteed baseball, that we're going to have some fun playing. Because you still got to go out there and get 27 outs and score more runs than the other team, and they are professionals on the other side. But we got a great opportunity, Nick. Who, what, when, where, and why?
Reds are going to be 5 games over 500 on May 4th.
Oh, gosh. See, I tried, chat, to talk him out of doing this stuff. But here we go. I hope you're right, Nick. I hope you're right.
Reds taking on the Miami Marlins. They come in 9 and 12. They actually had lost 5 in a row before winning on Sunday. Reds have facing some tough pitchers this week. It'll be Lodolo against Max Meyer on Monday. Tuesday, Nick Martinez against Edward Cabrera. Wednesday, Brady Singer against Sandy Alcantara. Cabrera and Alcantara are really struggling early in the year, but certainly 2 talented pitchers. Max Meyer, though, a guy that is not struggling. He's off to a great start. This was a guy that was at one point a top 30 prospect in baseball, had a lot of injuries. He has a 2.63 ERA, has a nasty slider, throws it like 40% of the time too. Hitters hitting 091 against it, and the expected stats aren't any prettier. So he'll definitely be a big challenge. It'll be interesting to see what Nick Lodolo is able to do coming off the paternity list. Talked with Craig a little bit about it yesterday. Just a really weird situation. When I wrap this up, I kind of want to get your thoughts on that real quick, Trace, him coming back. But the Marlins, they've been actually middle of the pack offensively. Matt Mervis, the guy they got from the Cubs, has 6 home runs already. So that'll be a challenge. But the Reds did face Meyer last year. Had a great game against him. 8 hits and 6 earned runs in 4 innings. But again, Mayer's pitching really well. Going to be a tough one for the Reds tomorrow, but certainly lines up well the next couple weeks.
It's never worked out for us, Nick. It's never worked out for us. I mean, I'm just going to tell you, it's never worked out for us. We have done this on this show before. We have privately texted before. We have done the group chat thing before, talking about, hey, have you taken a look at the schedule? And it never has worked. And I'm hopeful that it's going to I'm just going to say never to be never, okay? Maybe it has once or twice, but I'm just saying, I'm openly saying we're not going to assume. We got to go out there and play the game. Clean brand of baseball. We've not done that at times this year, and we have done that at times this year. I'm hoping that this stretch of baseball gives us an opportunity, Nick, to kind of get ahead of things. You know, when you're a sales rep and you got a quota that's sitting right there on the big board for the year of what you got to do. It's really nice in the months of January, February, and March to sell a lot of stuff and get ahead of it. And you can kind of coast in the summer a little bit, you know? You can kind of feel good about yourself. Maybe you take some nights off in the summer because it's just more fun time of the year this part of town is the summer. But then you get back towards the fall, you get back to work, and you finally hit your quota towards the back half of the year because you did something at some point in the year exceptional. I'm just gonna say, exceptional is in our grasp over the next few weeks. There, that's the best analogy I can use on a show like this. Nick, hopefully I bought you enough time there to go ahead and do the ritual. There you go. Nice work. Good job. Love that. Love that. All right, folks. We are up to 245 likes. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys watching the show each and every single day. Thank you for those that have spread the word. Clearly, it's kind of organically happened, and it's really cool that the chat is its own little beast of a show as well. I think that's kind of a fun little thing. I think it's cool that we have many people that shoot us kind of messages, and we meet in person, and they talk about how they kind of get their day started at each and every single day with Chatterbox Reds, and Nick does an excellent job of editing out kind of the bits and pieces of our conversation in this show, but some stuff that happens in post-game pressers, coupled with the fact that you might get some news and nuggets and some Reds MILB that you didn't hear on this show from time to time in that podcast. So again, as I've always said, if you don't mind, leave us a review in podcast form and or possibly listen to the show along with watching this show, which might seem crazy, but that's what we all are, is crazy, because you're a Reds fan. And if you're probably ages 45 and under, some would say you're real crazy. But we do hear about the Big Red Machine, and I do appreciate that. I've always been a big fan of the Big Red Machine. Speaking of which, did you hear that they're going to have a couple of Big Red Machine promo nights this year? And did you hear that they're giving away, I think this is cool, they're giving away a jersey to every single person that attends, I think, the Pete Rose game, which is, that is actually pretty cool. So, game time. As a reminder, if you go down the ball yard, use the code CBOX, CBOX, terms do apply. I think that's what I got to say. But it's time for a dunk. I'm going to do my best. I do have all the equipment that I need now. Now I just have to set it up. So I've had a long couple days, Nick. I'm not going to make excuses, but I've had a long couple days, you know.
Not an excuse guy.
Not an excuse guy, yeah, as Elliot would put. All right, folks. It's that time. It's to do a dunk. Love you. Appreciate you. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Tell a friend about the show. And you know what? For all those people in the Reddit subforums that says, this guy's never played a sport in his life, you know what the hell you're talking about. You don't know nothing. And you sure as hell ain't watched Candelario play this year, because if you have, you would agree with 100% of everything I just said on that post. But I digress. Back to dunking a basketball.